here. Of course, we've got another Facebook announcement. Yay! Another one. So we're coming in live to let you know about Facebook's latest announcement insofar as reach is concerned, because I know that there are going to be a whole shit ton, which is actually a metric measurement of things going on over the coming hours stroke days that are there to panic people and to scaremonger and to make people feel all wobbly and horrible. So hello Becky, how are you?
Hello, I'm all right, thank you. So little surprise this morning from Facebook.
It's like a ta-da! It's like they never, ever, ever do it when you think, you know, I've got loads of space and time to talk about this. And so we've decided to jump on. We have both come together, tried to get our diaries to work and come together to come on and let you know about this. I'm going to share this video into a couple of my groups as well. So if you're joining us live, come on in and say hi. Let us know that you're here. And do you want to start to tell us a little bit about what Facebook have said this morning?
Yeah. So I spotted this morning when I was kind of doing my Monday morning checks on all of my clients on my page on their Facebook Insights. So Facebook have not put out a big public announcement about it. And as soon as I saw this, I thought this is going to cause another massive storm. It's going to feed into all the scaremongering that's going on at the minute on Facebook, which is why, you know, we said, didn't we, Emma, let's get ahead of it, let you all know what's happened and what it actually means. So it's absolutely nothing to panic about. It's not at all, but I can see it being whipped up that way. So just to be aware of that. So if you look at the Insights tab on your Facebook page and you hover over where it says, it's just reach, isn't it? Yeah, where it says reach, there's a little kind of eye symbol to give you more information about what that means. You will see a notification come up that tells you that Facebook have changed the way that they're measuring organic reach. So this is going to have an impact on the stats that you see on your Facebook page. So if you've noticed the past few days that your organic reach has gone down, this could well be one of the reasons why, because they're changing what they define as organic reach. That's what it boils down to.
So currently, as of kind of yesterday, what were we looking at in terms of what organic reach meant?
So what they counted as organic reach before this was if you put a post out there, every time somebody logs onto Facebook, Facebook makes a decision about what to show them in their news feed. So it takes into account lots of different factors. It looks at all the different posts it could show you. So from your friends, from Facebook pages that you like, from what your friends have engaged with. It's got thousands of posts to choose from. The algorithm takes into account lots of different factors, does a calculation, and decides what to serve up in your news feed. Mm-hmm. So let's say I put a post out this morning and the algorithm decides to serve that up in Emma's newsfeed, then that would have counted as organic reach, regardless of whether Emma had even come across it. So let's say it was quite far down the newsfeed and she'd not scrolled that far, so she never even had a chance to cast her eyes on it, it would still have counted as it reached Emma, when in fact it didn't really, because she didn't get that far. Her eyes never passed over it. It was, you know, kind of buried in the newsfeed, but it still counted. So they've kind of, I suppose, refined that definition now. So rather than it just being that it got served up in your newsfeed, for it to count as organic reach, it actually had to come up onto your screen, whether that be your phone or laptop or whatever device you're looking at Facebook on. It had to come across your screen. So it still doesn't mean that you actually saw it as such, because you might flick past and not notice it. So just to kind of point that out. But it does mean that it actually did display to you. You had the opportunity to see it rather than it being buried somewhere in there. So it's, I mean, it's a good thing, I think, because that's much more meaningful than it being in the news feed, but nobody ever getting that far. You think that people have seen it, but they haven't. So,
and I tell you what is interesting is that there's obviously going to be, for most people, I would say the majority of people, a decline in reach.
Yeah.
But what is interesting is to actually see how many people Facebook have been seeing your stuff, to the reality of how many people are actually getting to your stuff. Because obviously it's no good you being served up in the news feed a gazillion swipes down if nobody's ever going to see you.
Exactly. So one thing I think will be interesting is now when we look at how much engagement you're getting versus how much organic reach, that's going to be a much more meaningful comparison. Because whereas before you might have thought, well, I've reached 1,000 people and 10 have engaged, that's not very good. Actually, the majority of those might never have seen it to have a chance to engage with it. So whereas now we're going to be able to see a much clearer view of, so people are seeing it, and, you know, if they're not engaging, why is it that they're swiping past? Why aren't they stopping to take that time to engage? And it's going to be much more accurate and so more helpful for us.
I think it's quite great, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be
that's going on.
There's going to be a decline.
Yeah. And that's what they've said. So if you read the update, you'll be able to see it on your own page as well. Like I say, when you hover over the reach part of your insights, they've said that it may well be that you see reach decline. I'm pretty sure every page will see that, because it's just the natural effect of this change that they've made in how it's being measured. But they have clarified that it's absolutely no change to how your posts are being served up in the newsfeed, who they're being shown to. This is not part of the other changes that are going on, which it's more than likely some people are going to link it to that, but it's not. But because they're changing the way they measure it, you probably are going to see your reach go down. So it's keeping that in context as to why that actually is happening.
Do we know when this is started? Because I know that lots of people have seen a decline in 7 days.
Yeah, I don't know exactly when it started, unfortunately. It's one of those where, because they've not done a public announcement, it's just a little notification that pops up when you look at your insights that isn't dated. I would say it's been in the past few days, because I look at the insights tab regularly and I've not seen it. So it might even have been over the weekend. But yeah, it's a little bit naughty of Facebook to not do a big announcement and let us all know what's going on. But hey ho.
I think perhaps it is on the basis of the scaremongering and the amount of kind of negativity that goes with all of their announcements at the moment for so many people. And I think that it is, you know, completely interesting to see that they're actually being quite ballsy, I think, with this move, because I think that, again, people are going to start to go, oh my God, actually, is it worth it? If you're only going to deliver my stuff up to this many people, is it really worth it? Is it going to be something that I am going to get a return on? Anna says, my Mr. Facebook has had a few hiccups. When I did post on my page, within 30 seconds, it said I had 44 likes. And then I clicked on it, it said 4. And later on, it said 59 and it had 22. Very odd. It's just, I'm just carrying on my merry way. I think that when anything does happen like this, we do find a period of time where Facebook is quite glitchy. And I've also noticed on Facebook notifications, I don't know if you've noticed this, but it says, you know, 56 people have reacted to your photo. It's not the actual photo. It's all photos reacted to in that day.
That's interesting. I've not seen that on mine. So this is the thing, that we all seem to be seeing slightly different variations of Facebook at the minute.
So it says, you know, 17 people have interacted on my video, whereas I know that there hasn't been 17 people interacting on this, but it's across this video and the one I did earlier today. So they're kind of clumping together notifications as well, which is not great, because I like to be able to see at a glance what people have, you know, but then they're making me click now to see which particular thing the last one has been reacted to.
Yeah.
If I get 2 people reacting to a photo simultaneously, I get the last one before that, and that's happened over the weekend.
That is interesting. So yeah, so I'll keep my eye out for how that pans out as well and where it fits in, because that's going to cause confusion. And I think that's the kind of danger with these things that are going on at the minute, with the way they're changing how they report the stats to you and what they're actually reporting, is that it all becomes a bit even more confusing, and in the context of what else has been going on, that people really don't know what's going on the Facebook page.
So if we look at Facebook generally, what is your advice right now as to its positioning in your social media suite? How relevant do you believe Facebook still is?
I think it's still got massive relevance and value to add to lots of businesses. There's still a place for it, absolutely, and it's possible to get good organic reach. We'll see how that changes with this update to how they're measuring organic reach. But it's still possible to get fantastic engagement and to build communities on Facebook. The flip side of that is that it's not the be all and end all either. And that if you place all of your eggs in Facebook's basket, then you're leaving yourself at risk, really, of, we don't know what's around the corner. We know the kind of the direction that Facebook's heading in, and the changes they're making that are going to make things more challenging on Facebook. So in terms of your overall social media strategy, I'd then be suggesting that you look at where else you're spending your time, make sure that you're growing your community in other places as well, not just on social media, with your email list, with your website, and bringing it all together. So you kind of edging your bets in a way, but also giving people more opportunities to connect with you, more opportunities to see your message and be reached by it. And yeah, so don't put all your eggs in Facebook's basket, but there's still value to be had, so don't rush to ditch it.
Yeah. I think when you say the direction that Facebook is going, what does that mean? What are the signs?
Yeah, so Facebook have got various challenges that they're facing. You know, there's a lot more businesses and publishers, so, you know, like media type outlets using Facebook. There's more content on there than ever before. They can't show us everything. So this is where the whole algorithm comes in, and that's the challenge that they've got. There's also the fact that they're running out of space to place adverts, so that's another challenge that they're facing. And then there's the side of it where there's been various studies done around our well-being and using Facebook, and it's actually not great for us to be just flicking very passively and consuming content but not engaging and making connections. So Facebook are putting a real emphasis on communities and what they call meaningful connections, so that Facebook doesn't end up being something that is of detriment to us, because if that was to kind of be the end point of it, then people would leave the platform. So it's all about keeping people here. So I think we've seen changes this year already, but I think we're going to see big changes to how Facebook works, the kind of feel of it, much more focus on communities, more individual connections, less broadcasting of messages. So it's an interesting time for Facebook at the moment.
And I think that the thing Facebook is they're the one platform that's had massive longevity.
Yeah. So
far. Yes, other platforms will have, and lots of platforms have come and gone in the time that Facebook has been around. Facebook have always, you know, since I started using Facebook for business 7 years ago, they've always talked about customer client experience, user experience. It's always been their big buzz, has been it's all about the user experience. And do you believe that that's still their top priority?
Yeah, I think so. You know, if you read between the lines and also what they're actually saying, it's all about keeping people on Facebook. At the end of the day, if people start to spend less time on Facebook, don't visit as often, then the whole thing starts to unravel. So that, of course, that's their priority, and you can kind of link back all the changes that they're making to them making sure that people stay on there. They very much want to make sure that it's always a free platform. So Mark Zuckerberg said that he wants to make sure it is always free for everybody to access in terms of your user, not talking about advertisers. So advertising is then the way that they're able to make money, which keeps Facebook going. So it plays an important part. So yeah, it's all about keeping people on there, allowing them to use it for free and making it a meaningful place to spend time so that people feel good about logging onto Facebook and, you know, have a positive experience rather than it becoming something negative.
And I think you hit it there in the bits that you talked about there about being socially conscious as well. You know, I think that Facebook want to retain that element of social consciousness, and not only, you know, people doing good and connecting the world. You know, this was what Mark Zuckerberg's talked about for years and years and years, that ability to make the world a smaller place and connect people no matter where they are in the world. But you talked there about well-being and how that plays a part. Has that become something that you've seen increasingly coming across Facebook's information and announcements as you've watched it?
Yeah, and I mean, even this morning I've read a study, I can't remember where it was published and who by, but it was a scientific study into the link between well-being and time spent on Facebook and what impact that's having. So, you know, social media is still a relatively new thing. When it, you know, was invented, if that's the right word, but when it's risen to popularity, yeah, nobody knew where it was heading, what impact it was going to have, and it's kind of now, pretty much a decade on, that people are now going, hang on a minute, so we've got over 2 billion people using Facebook. What impact is that actually having on people? And it's a really interesting time where people are now kind of taking that stock check and seeing not just how we're using it, but then what impact that's having on us, that's having on society. And then Facebook are being quite quick to respond to that as well. So as soon as these findings are coming out, they're then looking at what they can do, because if they don't, then their future will be at risk. So it's, you know, a business thing as much as them being socially responsible as well.
So if we look at what's come about over the weekend stroke into this week, people have seen, you know, I know that lots of my rock stars have seen the beginning of a decline in what their reach is saying. What do you think that you can do right now to ensure that that isn't a big deal?
Yeah, so my advice pretty much always is to focus on engagement over and above everything else, because the reach will kind of follow, and it's no good if thousands of people are seeing your post but nobody's engaging. It's got very little benefit. And
I'm fluffing at you because something very interesting that came across my radar the other day. I was looking back on my page to the good old days.
Yeah.
5,000 reach on a video, 5,500 and something, and something like 60 views of the video. It's like, well, that's just completely pointless, isn't it? Whereas now we're going to find these figures actually work a little bit better together, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah. Because if you think, so how we described it used to work, a lot of that 5,000 people who it reached, it didn't actually reach. It was buried somewhere in the news feed. So now we should see that it marries up a bit more, the views against the reach, and perhaps even the engagement against the reach if the content's good. So I think it's going to kind of clarify the picture. I think concentrate on engagement, have a look, start comparing your reach versus engagement, because if people are seeing it now but they're not engaging, then, you know, what conclusions can you draw from that? What do you need to do to make that content more engaging, or to make them stop in the tracks so they don't just flick past it? And it's just about learning from the stats that Facebook does give us and thinking, right, what can I do with that? What's my next step based on what those numbers are telling me?
And how about, you know, actually getting out there and getting in front of more people? Because this is going to be soul destroying for people who have a really small crowd at the moment. And, you know, they see their reach being served to single figures. How are we going to be able to grow now? Is growth still something that is achievable. It's not easy anymore. I know that we're well past the heyday of growth being easy peasy lemon squeezy. Whoops, there you go. I've got 500,000 followers. But is there still that ability if it's going to take much? It's going to be a long game, isn't it? And social media's always been a long game, but there was instantaneous traction at one point.
Even longer. I know what you
to grow their platforms.
I think as things stand at the minute, and obviously this is kind of an evolving scene that we're seeing play out, so we'll keep you posted on how things are going. But as things stand right now, I would say that it is possible to grow your Facebook page, whether you're brand new or you've got quite a small page. It's possible. You need to be showing up consistently. What you need is to be building traction. And if you're only posting a couple of times a week and you're not investing time and energy into your content strategy and showing up regularly and consistently, then it's going to be very difficult to build that traction. So that's key. And we're all going to have to think about how we're using Facebook ads, or are we using Facebook ads, and where that might fit in as well, particularly if it's a brand new page. There are ways to attract people organically and kind of tap into the networks that you've already got, but you might also find that in addition to that, you need to invest a little bit into Facebook ads. And that's not to say it's got to be a huge amount, but a small investment can go a long way as well in that point of view. And that's just being realistic about what it takes. But showing up consistently is the most important thing.
Use the word traction. It's about looking at traction. What does that look like in the reality of how often should I be posting? What types of things should I be posting? What should I be concentrating on?
Yeah, so in terms of how often, I mean, it is different for every business, and there's no golden rule, regardless of what people might tell you. So it's about testing things out. I would say, because it's all about consistently, you can build it up gradually. So if you're looking at the time that you've realistically got to spend on Facebook and you think I can consistently post once a day, then do that to start with until you're happy that you are showing up consistently once a day, and then add in another post and maybe build it up to 3-4 times a day, but making sure that consistency is always there. That's the important thing. It's no good going in and saying, with the best intentions in the world, I'll post 6 times a day on my Facebook page, so I give myself the best chance of being seen and building up that engagement, if that's going to be difficult to do, which for most people, if that's your starting point, that's going to be a high bar to reach. So that in terms of how often to post, and then in terms of what you're posting, have a really varied mix of content and think about what your messages are and how you can then present that in lots of different ways, because it keeps it fresh, engaging, it helps you reach different people who like to consume information in different ways. So that works really well as well, to have a varied content mix. Don't stick too much to one thing or another, and then test out what works best on your page. So be looking at that insights tab and asking the questions, what is doing best right now? Is it video? Is it text only? Is it links? What should I be doing more of? What's not working so well? Start asking those questions as well.
And when you're kind of looking at your social and you're looking at these numbers and what's going on there generally, really easy to get discouraged and really easy to get kind of like, oh, well, fuck it, it's not working. How do you avoid that?
Putting things into context, I think, is one of the most important things. So knowing what's going on beyond just your page. So watching videos like this, reading blog posts, and kind of finding people that you trust to keep you updated and informed. So when you look at your stats, you can put that into some perspective and know where that fits in, whether your page is, doing exceptionally well, or it's really struggling compared to other Facebook pages, or it's kind of in amongst the trends that we're seeing. I think that really helps to keep you going and sticking with it as well. So yeah, it is about looking at the stats and deciding what to do more of and what to look at improving, but also giving things a fair chance. Not just doing one video and then because nobody watched live, switching off and never doing one again. Giving things a fair shot, and again, consistency. Keep showing up and it will start to build traction.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's really important to start to look at the quality of your content, isn't it? And, you know, I know that there's lots of people out there who will go to me, you know, I am showing up. I am being consistent. I am doing that thing. Well, if that's happening and you can truthfully say that, you're not just spinning yourself a yarn, it's about actually looking at, right, so if that isn't working and there isn't that engagement, that actually isn't just you going, oh, well, Facebook's rubbish. It's about looking at what can I do to make that different? What can I do to start to create that connection and that community? Yeah. And I think that Facebook will continue to change and evolve. I don't think, I know, because they want to remain relevant. I think that some of the things that they do are changes for change's sake. It's like, you know, we'll take away your ability to ask people to interact with you, then we'll give you this stupid lists function. How quickly are people going to get annoyed with that?
Yeah.
It's like when they give us that ability to put those poll things on and then gave it no reach.
Yeah, that was a bizarre one.
You know, if you want to give us new things to use, then, you know, at least give them a chance in the news feed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's about, this change is actually going to give you a reality situation.
Yeah.
We're going to be taking away the veil of in reach that actually didn't reach anyone. And that might be a shock for some people.
Yeah.
That reach actually wasn't truly what people got their eyes on.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to be a surprise to, well, most of us really. I'm interested to see what difference it makes now that we're seeing a true picture. But surely the more accurate the numbers that we're looking at are, the more useful they're going to be to us. So once we get over that initial shock of, oh, actually, not as many people have been seeing my posts as I thought they were, then we can think about, right, so what do I do with that information? What happens next?
And no doubt over the coming weeks, stroke months, because it's going to take a period of time for us to actually settle into those stats and see, because, you know, you're going to do a report for me on the 1st of March and it's going to go, oh, look, your reach just went. So it's going to take us a couple of months to look at the actual impact of that.
Yeah.
But we'll keep people updated as we go. The big one is, don't get involved in any of this scaremongering that may potentially start to whip itself up.
Yeah.
Don't want to say it, but as America come online,
yeah,
you know, there'll be an awful lot of social media gurus that will get into looking at their information this morning and seeing, you know, what it is that's being said or not being said, as the case may be, and what's happening from the perspective of reach. Yes, you're probably going to see a decrease in reach.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Yeah, unfortunately. But that's the reason why. At least you know the reason behind it now. So that is the important thing.
Knowledge is power, and having better reporting stats is massively powerful.
Yeah.
You know, I think that there's nothing that can be more powerful than us actually seeing how many eyes have really seen what we've done, how many people are absolutely interacting and interested in what we've done, and having a truth comparison. Because actually for lots of people, if you are, you know, really rocking your engagement right now, you may well find that those stats, you're bloody good at engaging your crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly going to put things into perspective.
So what would be your takeaways?
So keep that context in mind and everything we've talked about today, as all the scaremongering undoubtedly will start. So it's not useful to kind of engage with that. I don't think. Focus on what action you can take on your page. Look at your stats, put them into context, and just look at what you can be doing to take action. What can you do more of that's working well at the minute? What isn't working so well, and what do you need to do to either improve that or change that in some way? And focus on that action rather than getting drawn into the Facebook hates businesses and we should all just leave and all of that kind of moaning that doesn't help anyone. It's not going to make a difference. If that's where you choose to invest your time and your energy, then it's not going to help.
Mm-hmm. And from the spend perspective, because I know that you mentioned that there, I'm going around in a circle again. That's just come back to mind. Do you think that it's going to be essential now to have an element of spend on Facebook?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm seeing now, is that there are going to be things that you need to put a little bit of budget behind. We've seen for quite a long time now that if you're linking outside of Facebook, so you're trying to send traffic to your website or your blog or wherever it is, that you can struggle with organic reach. We're probably going to find now with this change in how they measure reach that actually that's reaching even fewer people than we thought it was. So they might be the kinds of posts that you find that if you want to get those in front of people and the right people and get them clicking on it, that you've got to put a little bit of budget behind it. And yeah, I think that's going to be more the case, but it's not something to stress over or think, well, I'm going to be kind of priced out of it, because you don't need a massive Facebook advertising budget. You could go with £1 a day, or boosting a couple of posts a week. You can start small with it as well and see results.
Yeah, and I think again, when we look at this, should we be focusing our ad spend on things that keep people on platform and create interaction, rather than this kind of, I need to send people to a blog, because you actually don't a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And, yes, your website is your home hub, etc., etc., etc. But should we be now being a little bit more mindful? And something that's come up for me an awful lot is that people expect to consume different things in different ways on different platforms.
Yeah.
We don't go into Facebook expecting to be served up as we are in Instagram. We don't go onto YouTube with the same kind of attitude and the same kind of automation, like that, or your own self automaton of Facebook seems to be the often, people go onto YouTube and consume YouTube, and some people do consume a feed in YouTube, but some people also go in and look at something specific. People expect a certain type of engagement over on Instagram. And I think it is about us looking really carefully and closely at how we can continue that continuity and that brand message across multiple platforms, but also how we serve it on each platform.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, really investing that time into repurposing the content for each platform. So I've said for a long time, it's not good enough to just cross-post, put the exact same thing on every platform that you're using. And I think now more than ever, each platform you're using, you need to know why you're using it and what people expect from you on there, what's going to engage them, how you present your content in a slightly different way to serve that audience. And that's going to be even more important than it ever has been.
And I don't think it's going to be a flash in the pan, you go and look at this platform and suddenly you've got it nailed. I think it's going to be, us continuing to look at actually where does everything sit in our suite of interaction with our crowd, and are they different people on different platforms? Are they 50-50? Is there some the same, some different? Is there all the same? What is it? How does it all piece together? Because that social media now needs to really be, I think it probably, I want to use the words better thought through.
Yeah.
Because lots of people have got away with vomiting for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think we need that to be a bit more creative in the ways that we look at our work.
Yeah,
there we are. My Facebook reach has dramatically dropped at the moment. Well, it'll probably continue, Trudy, on this announcement. If you are joining us late, Facebook's announcement is
They've basically changed the way that they're measuring organic reach. So now, instead of it being, well, a post was served up in somebody's news feed, so they had a chance of seeing it, it's now that not only was it in their news feed, but it appeared on their screen at some point during that flick through. It appeared on their screen and they had a chance to actually see it. So it's just made that measurement of what organic reach actually means a bit more accurate.
Cool. Does anybody want to ask us anything while we're here? Is there anything that has got you ticking, any thought threads that are going through your head? Anything at all that you want to ask either of us or both of us, or anything that you like? Becky and I are actually together on Wednesday, so I'm going to pop up a little post to say, if you could ask us anything while we're together, is there anything that you would like to ask us, so that you get a little bit more of an opportunity to think about it? Because I always do put you in the spot in the moment going, is there anything that's come up? But if there is something that's come up from this particularly, you know, pop it into the comments. If you're watching the replay, you're equally as welcome to stick it into the comments and we'll come back and go over it. But also I will do a post for generally, what would you ask us if you were sat with us on Wednesday? What would you want to know? I just think it makes more sense, says Kerry. Yeah, it does. I think it does.
It does. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult to stomach for lots of people. But there we go. Is that what others are finding? I think everybody will find a drop. I don't think anybody will get away without it. Do you?
No, it's just the natural kind of outcome of how they've changed it, is that we're surely all going to see some drop in reach. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. As Instagram is owned by Facebook, is this going the same way?
Probably.
Yeah, Instagram's algorithm has been very much under development, hasn't it, since Facebook took it over, and the algorithm. And I've started to see people doing the Facebook thing on Instagram, saying, you know, my posts are only getting served up to.
Yeah, Instagram's got its own challenges and its own value, but I think Facebook will take what they're learning on Facebook and then filter that through to Instagram in a different way, but it will certainly have a knock-on effect.
Yeah, let's start to go over.
Yeah.
I seem to be seeing loads of groups in my feed and less family and friends. But I think that what Facebook is saying, insofar as that's concerned, is that their priority is that you see the stuff that's important to you. I know that we see ebbs and troughs, don't we? Because we'll message each other and go, my feed's just full of bloody pages today. Pages that I haven't seen for years and years and years. And it's kind of like Facebook drop it in and go, let's see if you do something with that. Because if you don't, then you're not going to see it again.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like we're being tested. And every now and again you'll find a week where all you see is pages. All you see is groups. Yeah. I found a week, I remember sending you a message saying, all I can see is posts from last Thursday.
3 days ago. Yeah.
Like, you know, I think that whilst it stables out, there will be an up and down on that. Emma says her reach and engagement are both green this morning. Fantastic. Trudy says, so is it beneficial to cross-post across, say, Facebook and Insta? I would never do it. I never have. I've always found it quite an uncomfortable one, cross-posting, because I think that it's just a little bit lame if people follow you on multiple platforms. I know it's going to be less relevant now because not as many people are going to see it. But, you know, I think I very rarely use the same thing in the same day, only if I'm talking about something very specific.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't cross-pollinate and post at the same time.
No, it's less engaging. It makes people think, well, why follow both? And also, you know, with Instagram and Facebook, the content needs to be slightly different. So you're not going to pull through all the hashtags that you use on Instagram to a Facebook post, because actually on Facebook it can pull your engagement and your reach down. So it's not a good idea that way. And people then look at the Facebook post and go, well, that's clearly come from Instagram, so why bother following the Facebook page? I may as well just follow them on Instagram. And it's, you know, start questioning whether, well, is there somebody actually behind this page, or is it just all automated? And just better to take that little bit more time and repurpose it and perhaps spread it out a little bit, like you said, Emma, so it's not the same content all the time, and make the best use you can of the different platforms and what's unique about them.
Fabulous. So I think that's all of the questions that we've dealt with. Like I say, I'll pop in a little feed for you to ask us anything for when we meet up later in the week, and you can pop any questions that you've got for either of us or both of us, or our thoughts on things, and we can cover them while we're together on Wednesday. So don't panic is the overriding. Don't bloody panic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming over and spending some time with me, Becky. Lovely, lovely, lovely to have you. I always like to make sure that we try and get these in really quickly, because we're both really passionate about the fact that so many people get you into that kind of whipped up frenzy and how horrible it is and how we should be all, you know, I don't know where they think we should all be going, but that we should all be disappearing somewhere.
Yeah.
So Emma says, I post the same blogs on both sometimes, but the actual text is different. Yeah, you know, when things are relevant and timely, absolutely. But yeah, make sure that you're doing it specifically for that platform. So thank you very much, my darling. It's lovely to have you. Go and buy Becky's book, because that will help your stacks too. It's over there, so I can't even show it off. Have you got one?
Yeah.
There you are. Go and buy Becky's book.
Oh, that's Jane.
And we will speak to you all really soon. Have a great day. Bye. Oh. There we go.